Saipan. While the U.S. military was testing nuclear weapons in the Marshalls, it had other plans for Saipan. In the early 1950s, the island was used by the CIA to train Chinese nationalists for secret military operations.
The Chinese Civil War was the stimulus, because we were training guerrillas to drop behind Chinese lines, doing, bombing bridges and nuisance stuff. Because they were training them here, they couldn't bring them in blacked out buses, blacked out airplanes with no windows at night, put them in buses that had no windows, take them out to Marpi, so they would never know where they were in case they got captured by the enemy. They couldn't tell where they'd received their training. We have one ex-CIA man still here. I've had him in my class several times. He talks about, they found a guy that was identified as an agent, a communist agent. And the next day he got unscheduled parachute training. And they put him in a plane and flew him out over the water at Marpi. He jumped out, and unfortunately the parachute didn't open. And so when he hit the water, the catch boat that was supposed to go out there and pick him up after they landed couldn't get the engine started fast enough. End of story.
The complex that the CIA used for their secret operations would later serve other purposes.
What is now the Capitol Hill Post Office it used to be the gym for the enlisted men movie theater. Where the governor was the commanding officer's quarters. There were paved roads, there were a couple of hospitals, there were schools. Life was a much higher level at any place else in the Trust territory.
Only in 1960 was the program terminated, and the Northern Marianas placed under civilian U.S. administration, along with the rest of the Trust territory. The one island in the entire territory that could be called a genuine military base was Kwajalein. The atoll had served as an important U.S. air base since the final year of the war.
And it's kind of interesting when you look at the history of the base itself, because it's the Frankenstein of the Pacific. The base has been very literally mothballed on 4 different occasions. Since 1945. In 1945, after the Second World War, the exact status of Kwajalein was questionable. And so they decided to start testing nuclear weapons on the northern atolls in the Marshall Islands, beginning with Bikini in 1946. And that, of course, meant a ramping up of the base to support the nuclear testing.
The Navy stayed there and they built it up. And they were operating the Marshall Islands out of Kwajalein. And the Marshalese were living on the end of the golf course on the west side, in camps, in tarpaulins and all that. That's where they were living.
For over a decade, Kwajalein served as a staging and support area for the atomic tests. And as Kwajalein grew, so too did the Marshallese population on nearby Ibai.
They're starting to build places on Ibai. And I heard there were some others that came in as carpenter workers.
By the late 1950s, however, the nuclear testing was winding down, and the fate of the base was in doubt.
It appeared that the base was going to close down because they were not going to be doing any more nuclear testing. The Nike Zeus program came in, and that sort of ramped the base back up again.
The island of Kwajalein in the Pacific, where an anti-ballistic missile system is being perfected, whose job will be to guard against any possible nuclear attack from Communist China.
With this new program came new jobs, and Marshallese from neighboring Ibai began commuting to the island on a daily basis. Over the years, Ibai grew to be a bedroom community for the Marshallese working on Kwajalein. Kwajalein had become a key military installation in the territory, a status that it retains until today. Kwajalein, Saipan, and Uitok, Bikini. The U.S. had its military interests to provide for, even as it tried to fulfill its obligations to the people of its UN Trust territory. Micronesia was indeed a special kind of trust.